It finally happened. After months of silence, The Chosen has given us a real glimpse into the most heartbreaking and intense season yet, Season 6. And it's not just another teaser, it's raw, emotional, and honestly hard to watch. Behind the scenes, footage has now confirmed what fans feared the most. The crown of thorns is real, the scourging is already being filmed, and Peter, he's breaking. There's a moment in the footage that will stay with me forever. Jonathan Rumi, wearing the purple robe and the crown of thorns, blood smeared across his face, and that heavy silence surrounding him. This isn't just about filming anymore. This is about stepping into the darkest moment of Jesus' life, and the emotional weight it's putting on the cast and crew is already showing. And for fans who've been following every leak, every Instagram story, every blink and you miss it post, there's so much more happening under the surface. This is the beginning of the end. And the suffering is only just beginning. The first thing that hit me when watching the new behind-the-scenes content from The Chosen Season 6 wasn't just the imagery, it was the tone. Everything feels heavier. Now, the playful, lighthearted spirit that often followed the cast around seems to have faded into the background. You can feel the shift just by looking at the actors' faces. Luke Demian, who usually brings energy and jokes to the set, looked exhausted and distant. It's not just physical tiredness, it's emotional. There's a deep sadness in his eyes, and it's hard not to connect that with what's about to happen to his character Judas. As fans already know, Judas's downfall isn't just about betrayal, it's about isolation, guilt, and eventually, despair. Seeing Luke this way in the BTS footage feels like a warning. Judas is about to walk straight into darkness, and he knows it. And then there's Jonathan Rumi. If you've been following him, you already know he's one of the most composed and grounded actors on set. But even he looked different this time. In one chilling moment, you see him silently preparing for a scene while wearing the robe and the crown of thorns. There's no dialogue, no smile, just stillness. This is Jesus. After Gethsemane, he's already been betrayed, he's already been arrested. What we're seeing is a man who's about to be dragged from one violent interrogation to another. One specific shot shows Jonathan in the dead of night, likely representing the immediate moments after his arrest. His appearance hasn't changed from the end of Season 5. He's still bloodied, still alone, still willing to surrender to what's coming next. The Gospels tell us that Jesus was first taken to Annas, then to Caiaphas, and finally to Pilate. But The Chosen might take a different route for pacing. Regardless of where they begin, one thing is clear. This season doesn't slow down. It only gets more intense from here. What really caught my attention was the layering of these scenes. The creators aren't just throwing in violence for shock. They're building a story of emotional breakdown and spiritual consequence. You can feel that weight in the few seconds we see of Peter hiding in the shadows. The behind-the-scenes footage doesn't even need to say what he's doing. You just know. He's about to deny Jesus, and it's tearing him apart. Fans know the story, of course, but seeing it unfold in this way, slow, brutal, and personal, is something else entirely. The worst part? We haven't even seen the full fall yet, and it already hurts. But even in the chaos, the creators are slipping in familiar faces. Mother Mary, Mary Magdalene, John, Tamar. They're all present in the background, watching. They're powerless, and it's that feeling of helplessness that defines so much of Season 6. No one can stop what's coming. No one can undo Judas's decision. No one can rescue Jesus from Pilate's grip. And no one, not even Peter, can run from the fear that breaks him down in that cold courtyard. The BTS footage also gave us glimpses of key set pieces. The wooden post where Jesus will be scourged, the blood on Jonathan's hands, the eerie silence before Pilate questions him. Everything feels so meticulously crafted to hit you in the gut. It's clear that Dallas Jenkins and the team aren't holding back. They're showing us the cost of betrayal, the weight of sacrifice, and the beginning of a chain of events that leads to the cross. And yet, even now, they're keeping some parts hidden. There's more to come. More scenes that will shatter us. More moments that will redefine how we see these characters. And if this is just the first look, we're not ready for what comes. Next, Peter's denial is one of the most heartbreaking moments in all of Scripture. But in The Chosen, Season 6, it's going to feel even worse. Because this isn't just about Peter saying, "I don't know him." It's about a man who was ready to die for Jesus. And still fails. The behind-the-scenes footage shows close-ups of Shahar Isaac, Peter, sitting in the shadows, hands shaking, eyes wide. He's no longer the bold fisherman or the fearless disciple who walked on water. He's terrified. And what makes it even more brutal is how quiet his fall is. There's no dramatic music in the BTS, no grand moment of realization, just silence, firelight, and shame. You can see Peter wrestling with the fear of being arrested, of being recognized, of losing everything. And then, just like that, the words come out of his mouth. I don't know the man. And once he says it the first time, the others come easier until the rooster crows and he remembers. And the way Shahar portrays that moment will destroy you. Fans who followed Peter's journey from season 1 know this has been building for a long time. From the moment Jesus called him out of the boat, Peter's entire identity has been wrapped up in loyalty. Loyalty to his master, to the mission, to the idea that he would never back down. But season 5 already showed the cracks. His wife Eden suffering, his own faith shaken. And now, in season 6, everything collapses. The version of Peter we see now is a man undone. The bravado is gone, the confidence stripped away, and the writers are leaning into the tragedy of it. Not just the betrayal, but the silence after it. That haunting moment when Jesus looks directly at Peter after the denial, that's coming. And it might be the most painful scene in the whole season. What makes this even more crushing is that while Peter is breaking down, Jesus is being beaten. The parallel between their suffering is intentional. Peter is suffering in his spirit. Jesus is suffering in his body. And they're both alone. In one of the rawest moments from the leaked set footage, we see Jesus bound and surrounded by Roman soldiers. They aren't shouting, they're just preparing. The ropes, the whips, the punishment. And right then, cut to Peter watching from the distance, helpless. The man who once pulled a sword to defend Jesus now can't even speak up for him. That's what makes this season so emotionally violent. Because it's not just blood and thorns, it's guilt and regret. And we're going to feel all of it. The other disciples are barely holding together. John is following Jesus, staying close to the high priest's house, but he can't stop. What's happening? Mary Magdalene is weeping. Eden's absence is noticeable. Peter has no one to turn to anymore. And Judas, he's vanished. After the kiss in Gethsemane, he disappears. But we know where he's going. And when he returns, it won't be to make peace. It'll be to face the full horror of what he's done. The cast has hinted that Judas's final moments will be filmed in a very raw and haunting way. But for now, it's Peter who carries the emotional weight of the betrayal. And watching him break is almost harder than watching the scourging. Because that's the thing about The Chosen. It doesn't just show what happened. It makes you feel what it cost. Every beat of this season is drenched in suffering, but not just physical torment. It's the kind of pain that sticks with you, that lingers after the episode ends. And with the denial comes another chilling moment. Peter realizing it's too late, that he can't undo what he said, that Jesus is already being led to Pilate, and that no matter how loudly he screams in his heart, he didn't stand up when it mattered most. The BTS also hints that Peter's storyline won't stop with the denial. There's more, much more. The fallout, the guilt, the question of whether he can ever be forgiven. That journey is just beginning, and the showrunners have confirmed that this season will show the full arc, from failure to restoration. But right now, we're in the fall, and it's going to break us before it heals us. The first time we see the crown in The Chosen. Season 6, it doesn't feel like a costume prop. It feels like a weapon. Twisted branches, jagged tips, dripping with menace. Crafted not just to mock, but to cut. Behind-the-scenes photos reveal the terrifying reality. The crown isn't gently placed on Jesus' head. It's forced, pressed down, jammed with cruelty. And the blood begins to run immediately. There's no mercy, no hesitation, just Roman soldiers carrying out their orders with mechanical violence. This is the turning point of the entire season. Because up until now, the pain was mostly emotional. Peter's denial, Judas's betrayal, the disciples scattering. But with the crown of thorns, the physical agony begins, and it's relentless. We knew season 6 would be brutal, but no one expected this level of detail. Every thorn is sharp. Every jab, every wound is filmed with raw intensity. Jonathan Rumi's performance as Jesus reaches a new level here. He doesn't cry out, he doesn't beg, but the suffering is written in every line of his face. And in the eyes of the Roman guard standing over him, there's not hatred, just indifference. That's what makes it worse. They don't care who he is. To them, he's just another criminal. And so they wrap him in a purple robe, laugh, and drive the thorns deeper with their hands. The mocking is casual, almost bored. "Hail, King of the Jews!" But behind those words is a storm of humiliation. The soldiers spit. They hit. They kneel in mock worship. And Jesus, covered in blood, says nothing. What makes this even more chilling is how the scene mirrors an earlier moment, when Jesus was being worshipped, back in Galilee, surrounded by the crowds, healing, teaching, loving. But now, the crowds are gone. The miracles are over. And the king is crowned with thorns. This reversal, the fall from triumph to torment, is at the heart of season 6. Because this is not a story of slow defeat. It's the road to victory through unimaginable suffering, and every frame of it is meant to show the cost. Not just to Jesus, but to everyone who loves him, the disciples watching from a distance, Mary, his mother, trying to reach him but blocked by soldiers, and Peter, hiding in shame, unable to lift his head. Leaked details from the set suggest that the crowning sequence is just the beginning. It leads directly into the scourging, and then the final march to Golgotha. But it's the crown that marks the shift. It's not just a symbol of mockery. It's the moment the world officially rejects him, the moment the Messiah becomes a criminal, in the eyes of Rome. And as the blood runs down his face, we start to see what the rest of season 6 is really about. Not just betrayal or denial, but endurance. Faith in the middle of horror, love in the face of hatred, and silence that speaks louder than words. This season isn't pulling any punches, it's diving straight into the most painful hours of Jesus' life. And the crown of thorns sits at the center of that pain. It's more than a prop. It's a prophecy fulfilled. He was pierced for our transgressions, and by his wounds we are healed. The Chosen has always treated Scripture with care, but this moment, more than any other, is drenched in prophecy and purpose. And the way they've filmed it, it's going to stay with us. Not because it's violent, but because it's real. And once you've seen that crown on his head, you won't be able to forget it. Out of everything coming in season 6, the betrayal, the beatings, the crucifixion, there's one moment that already feels heavier than all the rest. It's Peter. Not his bravery, not his loyalty, but his denial. We've seen him fierce, passionate, ready to fight for Jesus in the garden. He sliced off a soldier's ear without thinking. He said he'd die before denying the Messiah. But now, in the cold shadows outside Caiaphas' house, Peter falls. And not once. 3 times. What makes it worse is how slowly it happens. This isn't a quick moment of fear. It's a slow unraveling of everything Peter believed about himself. Behind-the-scenes shots show him crouched in the dark, his face tense, his eyes darting. He's not just afraid, he's lost. And that makes this scene unbearable to watch. Because we know what he's doing. He knows what he's doing. And still, the words come out of his mouth. I do not know him. The Chosen has spent 5 seasons building Peter into someone we admire. He's not perfect, but he's devoted, loyal, strong. And that's exactly why his denial hits so hard. Because he should have been the one who stood his ground. He should have been there for Jesus. But in the hour that mattered most, Peter lies. And the moment the rooster crows, it's like something breaks inside him. From what we've seen, in the teaser and the leaked stills, the show will not shy away from this pain. His face collapses. He runs. And somewhere in the night, he weeps like a man who no longer recognizes himself. That's the power of this story. It doesn't hide from failure. It leans into it. And it shows how even the strongest can fall when fear takes over. And yet, this is not the end of Peter's journey. It's the lowest point, but it's not the final word. That's what makes The Chosen so special. It never stops at the pain. It always points toward the promise. Because even in this dark moment, there's hope. Jesus knew Peter would deny him. He predicted it. And still, he loved him. Still, he called him the Rock. Still, he saw what Peter would become after the resurrection. That tension, that sorrow wrapped in grace, is what makes this scene so unforgettable. You can already feel it coming. The silence between each denial, the growing panic, the guilt creeping into Peter's voice. It's all building to that breaking point. And once it hits, the entire tone of the season shifts. This is the moment that will stay with fans long after the season ends. Not because it's the most violent, not because it's the most dramatic, but because it's the most human. Peter is all of us in that courtyard, torn between faith and fear, love and self-preservation. And The Chosen knows exactly how to tell that story. Every glance, every breath, every whispered denial, it's all real. And when that rooster crows, it won't just break Peter, it'll break us. Because in that sound, we'll hear everything that's been lost. And yet, everything that's about to be restored. Season 6 is not just a chapter in a story, it's the unraveling of everything we thought we were prepared to see. And yet, somehow nothing prepares us for what's coming next. Because after the betrayal, after the scourging, after Peter's devastating fall, the road to the cross begins. And it's brutal. The behind-the-scenes footage confirms it. This is the most intense and emotionally charged season The Chosen has ever done. Jesus is bloodied, bound, and silent, not because he's weak, but because he chooses to endure what no one else could. The next few episodes will carry us through the heart of the crucifixion narrative, and every step will feel heavier than the last. The cast looks exhausted. Dallas Jenkins himself admitted how difficult these scenes have been to shoot. But you can tell it's not just physical exhaustion. It's emotional, spiritual. These actors are carrying something sacred, and they know it. That's why every image we've seen, every bruise, every tear, every broken look feels like it's been carved from the Gospels themselves. And while Season 6 will only have 6 episodes and a movie, the scale of what they're doing is massive. We're not just watching a show anymore. We're witnessing a passion project that dares to tell the truth of suffering. The scenes ahead won't be easy to watch. The trial before Pilate will get uglier. The public will demand blood. The Roman soldiers will not hold back. And Jesus, he will be stripped, mocked, and led like a lamb to slaughter. But The Chosen isn't doing this for shock. They're doing it for truth, for faith, and for the millions of viewers who have walked this journey since Season 1. If you've come this far, you know, this isn't just about history. It's about hope. Because even when everything falls apart, even when the people closest to Jesus abandon him, he does not give up on them. That's the heart of Season 6. It's about the brutality of the cross, but also the love that drove him toward it. And the story doesn't end here. As hard as it is to believe, we already know when the end of The Chosen will be in theaters. The Season 6 finale, the Crucifixion episode, will be released as a feature film on March 12, 2027. That's nearly 2 years from now, and yet it's already being called one of the most ambitious Christian film releases of the decade. But even that won't be the end, because Season 7 will begin with the resurrection, also in theaters on March 31st, 2028. It's almost surreal that we know how this all plays out, and yet watching it unfold still takes your breath away. Every betrayal, every broken promise, every moment of darkness, it's all leading to a moment of light. That's the beauty of this story. It never leaves us in the grave. It always points toward redemption.